Adrianne Lynch with the Lynch team at Real Broker, and today I have Heather Parker with me from the Parker Law Office. You talk about not just, so if you're working on your will but you want to think about being that at some point you're not going to be able to make decisions for yourself. What is that called, or what type of documents, or what are other things they need to be discussing with family prior to getting the will?
Absolutely. So if we're looking at a time when we're still here and can't make decisions for ourselves, there's actually two paths to that. One is financial decisions. And so historically, we would likely use something called a financial power of attorney that says, I'm nominating this person to be able to manage those money and assets if I'm ever incapacitated. What we've seen in the last few years is a trend in a lot of the financial industries that those institutions are not willing to accept a financial power of attorney. And part of the issue from a basic standpoint is a financial power of attorney is something that gets signed and doesn't typically get recorded anywhere. So if I sign one, I'm sticking it in a desk drawer or something and it's sitting there until something happens. Well, the problem with that is theoretically, I could sign a new one every year and name somebody different. And so if one of my relatives shows up at the bank with one of the powers of attorney that I signed, how is the bank supposed to know if that's the most recent one? And so a lot of them have developed policies that say, we're not going to take a power of attorney from outside because we can't verify how current it is or whether it's valid, et cetera. So some of the institutions will allow you to establish that with them directly, which means having conversations with, the bank and the company that holds your retirement account and things like that. But all of those things have to be set up before they're needed. And that's the problem, is a lot of times folks don't check on that. It's not something they think about. It's not something they want to think about, but it's important to have established before you need it, before you need somebody to be able to help you. And setting it up ahead of time is what's going to give you the ability to decide who it is you want to do that. Because if you don't now, if you've got more than one child, maybe the one you wouldn't want to do that is the one that's going to run to the bank and try to take care of things, right? We all have our strengths, and it's okay to know that about your loved ones and make decisions about who's going to be in the best position to be successful at the role you're asking them to play. So whether that's the financial side or is it the medical side, right? We often have the conversation about, would one of my loved ones pull the plug? Well, hopefully we would have enough planning in place that hopefully we wouldn't get plugged in. But there's a lot more involved in that. But I think you really have to think about people's personalities and skill sets and make correct choices about who you're asking to do certain things. Because if we don't make choices, now we've opened the door up for disagreements among the family. And if we make clear what our choices are, and whether we decide to share with those family members the why is up to you. But if you've established it ahead of time, now we've eliminated some of the backing and forthing and arguments among family members, which at a time in your life, you would want your family to come together and not be divided.
I think that's probably the biggest part, because on the real estate side of it, when we're showing, we get involved in the part of, okay, now someone's passed and we need to sell a house, but you see the family rift happening because they don't know what's supposed to be done or who's handling what because it wasn't clearly stated. I feel like sometimes the parents were like, well, I don't want to choose someone. But really, in the end, they make it worse and they make families, divide, because now whoever's personality is stronger, obviously is going to try to take over. Then you have hurt feelings. And I feel like it really is the opposite of what their ultimate goal is. Here, I've made this wealth. I'm going to leave this to my family. And now they're all arguing over it. And that part, I feel like, is where families feel like they don't want to talk about a will or a trust because they're like, well, I don't want to talk about death. Like, I don't want to talk about me dying. But I feel like that part is what we're missing, is what are your wishes? What do you want your children to have or not have? Or, what decisions are you wanting made for you are important. So we will have Heather's information below. So any questions you have, make sure that you reach out. Thanks.